So there's this passage of scripture that's kind of confusing to people, because this man, he's going to have his virgin daughter, he's going to have to give her as a burnt offering to the Lord. And people say, oh boy, what's going on there? It's a human sacrifice. Well, if you know about the scriptures, you'll see what's going on. Look at Judges chapter 11, and for time's sake, just go to verse 30. Verse 29, there's the paragraph mark. Judges 11, verse 29. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah, and he passed over Gilead and Manasseh, and passed over Mizpah of Gilead, and from Mizpah of Gilead he passed over unto the children of Ammon. And Jephthah vowed a vow unto the Lord, and said, if thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into my hand. So he's going to battle the enemies of Israel. And in custom say, Lord, I'll vow this vow to you. Numbers chapter 30 says, if you vow to the Lord, you bind your soul. So he says, I'm going to vow this vow. Notice what it says. Now, it's kind of foolish. Notice what he says. I will offer, into verse 31, I will offer it up. No, pardon me. I got to read verse 31. Then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's. And I will offer it up for a what? Burnt offering. Okay, it's clear. He says, whatever first comes to meet me after that victory you wrought, Lord, I'll offer it up to you for a burnt offering. Verse 32. So Jephthah passed over unto the children of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his hands. And he smote, so he goes through the whole thing, and so forth. Verse 34. And Jephthah came to Mizpah into his house, and behold, his, well, who? Daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and dances. So my dad has got the victory in the Lord. Watch this. And she was his only child. Uh-oh. Besides her, he had neither son nor daughter. That was his little precious little girl. Only child he had. But he promised, I will offer it up for a burnt offering. And people say, wait a minute. Okay, let's keep reading. And it came to pass, verse 35, when he saw her, that he rent his clothes. I bet he did. And said, alas, my daughter, thou hast brought me very low. Well, you're the one who made the vow. Right. The impulsive vow. It's not her fault. She's happy to see dad. And get the victory. And thou, verse 35, and thou art one of them that trouble thee. For I have opened my mouth unto the Lord, and I cannot go back. And she said unto him, my father, if thou hast opened thy mouth unto the Lord, do to me according to that which hath proceeded out of thy mouth. For as much as the Lord hath taken vengeance for thee of thine enemies, even of the children of Ammon. And she said unto her father, let this be done. So we're going to look at that. So the question comes up, says, now did this guy offer his daughter as a burnt offering? Well, some people say yes, some people say no. He wasn't doing a human sacrifice there. In the Bible, when you dedicate something to the Lord. Now, by the way, in her stead, he did sacrifice an animal. You had to do it. But in essence, what he was doing, he was giving her over to service for the Lord, holy. And she couldn't get married now. She's going to be one of the ladies dedicated for the service of the Lord amongst the priests and so forth. Let me show you, I'll show you that issue of it's not a person and so forth. It's going to be an animal in its place. And I'll show you other instances where people said, Lord, if you give me something, I'll give it to you, okay? Let's finish reading this passage and we'll look at that. Verse 32. No, did we read that? Yes, we read. Go down to verse 37. And she said unto her father, let this thing be done for me. So she's preparing to go and be dedicated. Let me alone 2 months, that I may go up and down upon the mountains. So she's going to go back and forth with her girls. And bewail my what? Virginity, I and my fellows. Why would she bewail her virginity? Well, turns out, what I think was going on amongst his house, she was preparing to be married. he was going to allow his daughter to get married. But by dedicating her to the Lord the way he did, she knows she's going to be in a perpetual state of virginity. She's not going to get married. That's what she's doing. She's going to go with her girlfriends and have some time to bewail her virginity. She knows she's a young girl. For the rest of her life, she will never know a husband. And what was one of the things that the women of Israel desired? Not just to have a husband, but if they were to have a husband, have a son, have the Messiah, right? That's in their minds. It was a shameful thing if a woman was not married, or if she got married, if she could not produce children herself for her husband, it was like the worst thing. Look at the women in the Bible. Abraham and Sarah. Sarah had Hagar give him a son, and that was a problem. Look at some of Jacob and Leah. Leah had to give her Rachel had to give her handmaid and so forth, So there was this issue of you couldn't have a child. So this woman, when she says, look at the end of verse 37, bewail my virginity, I and my fellows. Verse 38. And he says, go, and he sent her away for 2 months. And she went with her companions, those are her girlfriends, and bewailed her virginity upon the mountains. And it came to pass at the end of 2 months that she returned unto her father, who did with her according to his vow, which he had vowed. Now, what we're about to read now is the key to the passage to understanding. Look what it says. And she knew what? No man. That's what it was. He is dedicating his daughter, her virginity and so forth, and for total service unto the Lord. Okay? She knew no man. And it was a custom in Israel that the daughters of Israel went yearly to lament the daughter of Jephthah, the Gileadite, 4 days in a year. So what's going on? They're going over to see her 4 days out of the year, her girlfriends, and bewailing her perpetual virginity. So they're having a custom where each year they go visit her before and bewail her virginity. Okay. Now this issue of a burnt offering and so forth. Look with me, if you will. Leviticus chapter 17. We ain't going to read the whole thing, but I'm just going to kind of give you a sense of what goes on with a burnt offering. Leviticus chapter, 17? 27, pardon me. 17 is the one about the blood. Leviticus 27, if you will. Every firstborn was to be dedicated to the Lord. It was the Lord's, the firstborn, the first fruit. You were to dedicate it to the Lord. It's His. But as to not be like a human sacrifice, you would sacrifice an animal in its stead, and also at times give money and so forth. What Leviticus chapter number 27 is all about is that. We're not going to look at all of it, but notice it says, verse number 1 and 2. And I'm giving you some understanding so you can see what's going on. Verse number 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when a man shall make a singular vow, that's what Jephthah did, the person shall be for the Lord by thy estimation, so forth. Okay? Then he goes through it. You can, in verse 4, if it be female, then thy estimation shall be 30 shekels and so forth. If you go through this, there was issue of some money given to the Lord, but also anytime you did anything with the service of the Lord, you had to offer an animal, a sacrifice, a burnt offering. Okay, so I just want you to see that when you do this, verse number 14, and when a man shall sanctify his house to be holy unto the Lord, then the priest shall estimate it, whether it be good or bad, as the priest shall estimate it, so shall it stand, and so forth. And there's other things that all through here and other passages, what's going on is when you make that dedication, you had to follow through with it. And you had to give an animal and so forth, and you had to give of your resources and so forth, okay? So it's a lot to go through, but just know that it can be, you can say, this person is dedicated for you forever. you.